Well, we're going to talk about marketing a horse and selling a horse and doing all the preparation that entails in getting that one ad out that will get someone to buy your horse. Now, the 5 key components when you go to sell a horse are quality, training, presentation, performance, and appropriate price. So some decisions we need to make is, do we want to market this horse locally or nationally? Do we want private treaty, meaning you sell it yourself or with the help of a trainer, or do we want to consign this horse to an auction and let the auction company do the advertisement for us? How we're going to advertise this horse, and what kind of price we're going to put on this horse, and if we're going to list that price or not in our ad. So first of all, we need to know what type of horse that we have. First of all, we hear people every day talking about how horses are so specialized nowadays, and they are. Not only within the show circuit, meaning Western pleasure, reining, cutting, roping, these horses have all individual events that they do. You hardly hear of a horse that can go from the racetrack to the roping pen to the Western pleasure pen. It's hardly unheard of. I can't say it never has happened. Of course it has, but it's very rare nowadays. Then we have the working horses. Is it a feedlot horse? Is it a horse used on a ranch? Or do we have breeding stock, meaning brood mares and stallions? Then of course we have the recreational horse that is in our pasture and the grandkids or the neighbors come over and ride every now and then. And then we have the young prospects. And when I talk about young prospects, it's anything that has not been started to ride. So for most stock or quarter horses, paint horses, anywhere from a weanling to a yearling. Of course, in other disciplines such as dressage, sometimes they don't start their horses until they're 4 years of age. So we're going to start out by, who's your daddy? Very important. We hear this a lot. Is your horse by truck and not a trailer? Or is he by a world champion and out of a superior producing mare? These are factors that we really need to consider when we look at a pedigree of a horse. And you hear of people talking about black-type pedigrees. We have an example of registration papers on a mare, and she is by, if you look at her pedigree, a good machine. So when we go to talk about this mare, we're going to say her sire is an AQHA superior pleasure horse. He's also a Reserve Congress champion, and he is a sire of World and Congress champions. So he's a pretty predominant stallion. And then if we go on, if you want to actually go on and look at the second generation, Zippo's Mr. Goodbar is one of the leading sires in AQHA. He's pretty much on the top of every performance list. And then you go down to the bottom side of Good Machine and War Kelpie, the dam. She's a point earner, and then we go back to her sire, who is War Machine, and he is actually a AQHA Supreme Champion, and they tell me that there's only 46 of these horses that have ever gotten their Supreme Championship. Now on the bottom side, on the mare side, just as important as the sire side, we have a granddaughter of Tiger Leo. She is by Tiger of Flame, and Tiger Flame is a paint world champion producing sire, and he's also a sire of multiple futurity winners and point earners and ROM earners. And then of course Tiger Flame is by the late great Tiger Leo, who is a NSBA Hall of Fame sire, and he is a AQHA champion. So when you do talk about bloodlines, they do come into play. When you're talking to a potential buyer, you want to tell them all these things. They may not know this. Don't always assume that the buyer knows all the information. And if you don't know what some of these horses have done, go to your breed association, and a lot on their websites, you can actually look up what the parentage history is. Now we're going to pull up another pedigree. And now I can say this because I own this horse. He is literally by truck and not a trailer. I'm not saying his sire and his dam aren't good horses. I'm just saying they're not nationally known horses. They don't have a huge national record. And so now a couple generations back, you know, these horses could go back to something very predominant, But as far as right on the papers, there's nothing on a national level. Okay, the next part we're going to talk about is the price of the horse.